afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. As you said, quite a heavy lunch, and that's why we come with a quite light topic to follow the lunch break. Now, it might have been a coincidence, but it's not the first time that I've been asked to host a session at a global summit where the topic is diversity and how to break barriers, and coincidence always comes after the lunch break. So either they know that I drink coffee, very strong espresso, so I'm wide awake, or it's treated as something to help the digestion. Anyway, I'm Daniela Rossi, nice to meet you all. I'm the founder of Unlimited, a podcast platform that promotes female entrepreneurship in the region by sharing the inspiring professional journeys and personal stories of pioneering business women like Amnah here with me. So it's an honor that you join me on stage today for this Fireside Chat. Thank you, Amnah.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
And thank you for making time to joining us after, I know, a very busy weekend that you just had, talking about this very same topic.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing weekend because it's the first time, I guess, after a year that I attended a conference which was like all women and men were in a minority. Not that I would like to see that, but at least from an equal representation to a less representation to a full representation. Yeah, so it was a lot of energy and inspiration.
Yes, exactly. So I think we should aim to get one day in a room where we can have equal participation.
Absolutely.
As soon as I received the call from the organizers, I have to confess, I was anticipating a ballroom full of young tech guys and few scattered women here and there, and here we are, a room full of young tech guys and few women scattered here and there. But that leads me to the first question then. Why does representation matters? Why does inclusivity and diversity matters? And what can it brings as an added value to all the entrepreneurs and business owners that are here attending today as delegates?
Thank you. So I think that in different industries, the perspective is different, but I would say, let's take a small example of when we entered the room. Daniela and I, the first thing that we said to each other, along with my other colleague, was that it's very cold. And I'm pretty sure that's not the first thing that any of the men here in the room said to each other. Raise your hand if you found the room cold. Okay, one, I'm with you.
Wearing short sleeves.
Exactly. And I share this example a lot. The thermostats were, for an automatic temperature control, were invented in 1965. And they were tested on the body of a 40-year-old male who weighed 78 kilos. At that time, of course, there were no women in the workforce, so the temperature of the workplaces was set to men. Till date, it's the same. So that thermostat in this hotel, in this conference room, is overestimating the women heat production by 35%. So that just tells you, it's a great example which just summarizes why there needs to be an equal representation, because now you have a representation of, like in my office, like 50% of women, and in my team, even 70% are women, but the world around us has not really changed. So I think there are more and more women coming into the workforce. What do they bring is a question that always surprises me. What does every different person bring? I mean, if you look at blockchain as a technology, and I was a coder and a developer, I learned in Pascal and COBOL, and later I learned JavaScript. But I cannot do blockchain coding because centralized versus decentralized infrastructure, JavaScript versus Solidity, it's completely different languages. My whole education, my degree is completely useless. So it requires upskilling anyone today. So why would you ignore half of the world's population when you upskill them? In terms of blockchain users, globally, 40% are women. But if you look at the blockchain industry, only 5% of the employees in the blockchain industry are women. So if more than half of the consumption is being done by women, then why would you not have at least half of them in the representation also? Representation matters because then you will have more comfortable workplaces, you will not have very cold rooms, you will have more diverse perspectives, and you will have a perspective that you're missing from an innovation standpoint.
Yeah. You did say that you studied coding. Although, can I ask how many people studied coding at university here in the room? Raise your hand. So it's a minority. And it's a minority probably for men.
Well, to be honest,
women.
I studied coding because I flunked in biology. I could not get to a medical school and everything else, so it was like the only last option available.
Well, I studied Latin and anti-Greek, so we went to completely opposite direction. But starting from the first step of the chain, right? Education. So is it crucial to study education, to study blockchain at university? Are there sufficient programs in place to enable, to give access to ladies, to females, entrepreneurs who want to maybe go back to work after maternities, etc., to help them scale up, as you said?
I think we need to do a lot more because I deal with all new technologies, be it blockchain, be it artificial intelligence, biometrics, payments. And I think if I were to post a job which says 20 years of experience in this particular technology, I would probably have no applicants, right?
Yeah,
so I think what matters are your ability to unlearn. And I'm not talking about learning here, I'm talking about unlearning. Your agility, your curiosity. And I don't think so, and humility, because in today's time, it's not important to have all the answers, it's important to have all the questions, right? So I think if you have all those traits as an individual, you can, in my humble opinion, be in any technology. It just does not matter, right? I'll come to a separate point of confidence, which I think is a bigger challenge for women. So the way organizations and large organizations, as well as social impact organizations which are working in this field, and even all the people over here representing companies, what they need to do is they need to bring upskilling for both men and women back, but with a focus on women. So it's not rocket science to teach these new skills, because if in fact I have a blank slate, I'm a better candidate than someone who actually has something to unlearn, because they have to actually make an effort to unlearn and what they learned. Whereas if I don't know anything, then actually I'm better off because I don't have to unlearn something. So I think upskilling from technology is a huge step. That means you can create more developers, you can create more people who could code, which is a huge, massive gap in the technology, but it's not such a niche skill set that you can't upskill. Second, I would say, is the culture, right? Many times it has been talked about the bro culture or the boys club, right? And I am very fortunate to work in an organization which really has diversity as top of its mind, and I rarely have ever witnessed it in my career, but I would say not everybody is that fortunate, right? So how do you embrace a culture which goes back to your mindset where you're aware that there are different people around you, they think different, they may have different priorities than you, and how do you respect that and how do you include them? Maternity, just going back to one last point, it's historically proven that women lack confidence and self-belief compared to men. Yeah. So if you take a break from maternity leave, which I believe in most parts of the world still a woman takes a break, it's changing quite a bit now. So when you'd have a longer gap, especially in today's world when technology is moving so fast, it's very hard for you to come back to the workforce, not because you lack the skill set, because you lack the confidence, right? So in order to instill that confidence, you need people around you who would uplift you. You need organizations who would have mandates to have half of the slate as women. You need organizations who would help you uplift your confidence. I think that is another piece where we have to do a lot of work.
It's confidence and skill set, because as you said, especially when maternity leave could be 45 days to 6 months in certain part of the world, everything changes when it comes to technology in 6 months. So there can be confidence, but the knowledge, it becomes outdated very quickly.
And I can have the confidence, I can have the skill set, but if I join a culture which does not embrace me and respect my difference, then it's a challenge. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So my priority is always between 6:45 to 7:45 to put my kids to bed, right? It has to be something extremely important and earth-shattering happening for me to give up on that, right?
Yeah, but most of the time, after they're in bed, you get up on, you're
Oh,
back on
yes,
emails.
yes.
So I like to read a piece, a statement that you just released in an interview about technology and inclusivity. So driving inclusive leadership is a key priority at Mastercard. Technology provides a path for creating meaningful social impact, and we must leverage it to make the world a more equal and better place. So how can technology pave the way towards meaningful social impact?
So there are multiple ways around financial inclusion, sustainable environment, but since we are at a blockchain conference, maybe I will give a few examples. So I'm a passionate believer in the technology of blockchain because it gives you security, transparency, and efficiency, three things that actually are lacking in most of the infrastructure that actually stops from making this world an inclusive and equal space. So if you take the world of supply chain management system and the B2B payments, they're extremely complicated, they're very, very complex. There's no traceability and transparency in those systems. So if you're using the blockchain technology, you're able to generate an immutable and secure record of product provenance. And this not only helps different parties to track the supply chain, but it helps you in making sure that actually there are no counterfeit products. It makes sure that there are fair trade practices. It also has an additional use case where when you can track a product from a farm to a fork, so an orange which was produced in a farm landed up in my plate, it's very, very powerful for the farmer who is actually producing that orange. Not only for the retailers and distributors in the value chain. So I think there are like huge benefits of that. But in addition to that, the humanitarian causes like aid disbursement. So the United World Food Program is distributing aids to refugees using the blockchain technology. And it has a huge positive implication because it makes sure that the aid is going to the right parties and it is being used for the purpose it was intended to be used for.
Okay, great. And yeah, because we've seen even this morning that blockchain tends to be seen as with applications within the cryptocurrency or the banking sectors, right? Without thinking that its applications can actually go throughout and spread across multiple sectors. Can you give us some examples on possibly even women-led initiatives that brought blockchain across multiple sectors?
Well, a great example actually that I would give, and I'm sure most of you in this room would know, out of all my clients, and I look after 80 countries in Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa, out of all my clients, 2% are women, and one of them is Ola Dowdeen, who is the founder and CEO of BitOasis, largest crypto firm here. And I think it's a great
Let's
example.
invite her to the panel next year.
Yes, please. I'm sure she didn't have time to make it, else she would have been here. But yeah, it's a great example of such a big business being led by a woman. You know, majority of their workforce is women. And while it's in the main core domain of crypto, you can easily see that actually, you know, they are not only advancing the technology, but they are playing a role in the regulatory framework, you know, in the way the workforce can be more balanced and more inclusive. So yes, I mean, it's a great example, and I'm so happy that it's in our region, you know, not in the US or Europe.
Absolutely. In terms of opportunities, do you think there are enough opportunities out there for women to embrace blockchain?
I would say that I know it's a blockchain event, but usually I say that technology is technology, and don't think of technology as I have to use this. I see at times even my clients, they would say that, oh yes, we have to figure something out with blockchain. You do the reverse way. You have a problem and you're trying to figure out a solution, then technology fits in. You know, maybe it's blockchain, maybe it's some other technology. So my advice to women would also be the same, that figure out what you're passionate about, you know, what motivates you. You can read up about technology. I mean, I think we live in a very fortunate world where information is so easily available. Think about what excites you, you know, and start from not the technology, the use case of the problem. You know, do you want to solve a problem in the retail or the fashion world, a specific problem? Do you want to solve for financial inclusion in the payments world? Yeah? Or do you want to solve for a problem related to collections and financial services, right? And then the technology that inspires you, that you believe has the potential, that you can learn. Because whatever we like, we can learn that very easily. Go for that. I think there are enough opportunities. You just have to find a right match between what you like, what you're passionate about, and what your values are in terms of the organization you're working for. Entrepreneurship, I would say it's still the best time, especially in this part of the world, which has embraced new technologies and entrepreneurship. Like setting a company is like a one-day thing, you know? It's rare in most parts of the world.
Definitely, definitely. And in particular, I would add, not to look at technology and blockchain as a standalone niche, but as an enabler of whatever sector you're already working in or you're expert on. Last but not least, as you mentioned corporate culture initially, I'd like to ask you, what is easy to change, given that we are here to drive change? Is it easy to change mindset or regulations when it comes to breaking barriers?
I think people would say that regulations are extremely hard, and I know a lot of clients in the crypto house industry as well as in buy now, pay later space who are finding very, very hard to get licenses because of multiple regulations. I still see regulations as an opportunity, and I think they're much easier to embrace than execute and implement. I think mindset is extremely, extremely hard. Human beings are wired. COVID was a great example. I was myself thinking it's a 1-month thing. I cannot work remote. I have to go back to work, you know. And then 2 years of working remotely, I was like, oh my God, it's so hard to go back to work. Why can't we work remotely? I guess most of us went through it because I think that's how human beings are wired, you know. And then there are unconscious biases that we are not aware of. So as my grandfather used to say, human brain is a very complex thing, right? So our mindset is not easy to change. But the good thing is, now you're aware of it.
That's true.
With the social media platforms and the information that's available, events like this, you're aware of those biases. You're aware of what it takes you to overcome your mindset.
Absolutely. And thank you again for taking time from your busy schedule to help us spread awareness and share your voice.
Thank you so much, Daniela. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.